Hey, welcome back, Culinary Chemist. I took a short sabbatical for the holidays, but I'm back in action. Chef Neil here. All right, today we are going to show you a roux. What is a roux? R-O-U-X. It is a thickening agent used to thicken sauces. One of the classic roux, it is a butter flour mixture, and I'm going to show you how to make it. By the way, you can use other items to thicken sauces such as flour, arrowroot, or egg yolk, depending upon your application. But this is a classic French roux. So here we go, let's get started. Okay, for our roux, first ingredient is going to be butter. And I'm going to use a half a stick of butter, and if you notice, right on the label of the butter, you'll see the different measurements. So we're going to cut this right in half. We're going to use a half a stick of butter. I make a roux and I save it in the refrigerator for when I need it. So I always make extra. So this is a large quantity, but you can make as much or as little as you'd like. Our second ingredient is just simply flour, all-purpose flour, APF. We are going to use a all-purpose flour. I try not to use a bread flour. It has too much gluten in it. So I like to use all-purpose flour. It's kind of middle of the road. It's probably the best. It works best for me. But you can experiment and use whatever you like. But I start with an all-purpose flour. So that's our second ingredient. Okay, so we have our two ingredients. Only need two ingredients. So we're going to start with our butter. We're going to put the stove on medium to high heat and just melt that butter down. You want it to melt, but you do not want it to boil or sizzle. That will give you a brown butter. We don't want that. So our butter is basically comprised of three different parts. It's going to be a basic oil, or the base of the butter, and then you have milk solids, and then you have a little bit of a waste product. When it melts down, you will see those three separate. If you capture just the oil, that becomes a ghee, or a clarified butter. The same thing that you'd use for like dipping lobster, or certain dishes require just a butter oil. So that's how you get your ghee or clarified butter. So the butter is just about melted. It's almost ready to go. So let's just go ahead and add our flour. Alright, so we have our butter nice and melted in the pan. We're going to add about a quarter cup of flour. And we can adjust it as we go along, but I always start with a half a stick of butter and a quarter cup of flour. And all you want to do is you want to incorporate the flour and the butter together. And what will happen is the flour will absorb the butter and start to cook, but it will never expand. It only expands when it gets a liquid like a water to it. And what you want to do is just kind of keep on stirring this, and it gets to a very smooth, creamy texture. Now that's basically a roux. Now what we're going to show you is that there are three different types of roux. There is a blonde, and then a medium roux, and then a brown roux, or a darker roux. And the more you cook it, the more nutty the flavor gets. It actually tastes like hazelnut almost when it gets dark. So this is a good start. A little bit thinner than I'd like it to be, but I'll add a little bit of flour just to get it a little bit thicker. But that's a very good start. So you just keep on moving it, keep it on a medium, moderate heat, let it cook, and it will start to darken as you go along. Okay, so I've added just a tablespoon of flour, and you can see the difference. So it's got a nice, thick consistency. And we're going to let this cook. I'm going to turn the heat up just a hair and let this cook a bit until it starts to darken. So this is first a blonde roux. There's your roux. And I'll show you how we use it in a minute. Alright, so you can see how our roux is starting to get much darker, and it's bringing on some new flavor profiles. It has a little bit of a nuttiness to it, which really complements your dish. And we're just going to continue to cook it. So this would be more of a medium roux, and we're going to get this nice and dark to make a dark roux. Alright, and finally we've got our dark roux. And this is really beautiful. It even smells good. And you can see that I continuously move it. You don't want it to sit in one spot for very long because it will burn quickly. So just keep on moving that dark roux. And now it is just about ready. Looks beautiful. Alright, so we have our roux completed, and I just want to do a quick demonstration for you. Mixing some of that roux with water, I want to show you the science of how it reacts and it expands with the water. So I'm going to put a very small amount in the pan. You can see it's just a drop. And then I'm going to start to add some water with heat. And now watch how this expands tenfold. It absorbs the water. Remember, this doesn't work with an oil, it works with a liquid, such as stock or juice, meat juice. So if you ever want to thicken your Thanksgiving gravy, use a roux. See how nice and thick that gets? And if I put some more water, it will get even thicker. Or rather expand even more, I should say. So you can end up with a very nice consistency. And that just gives you an idea of how to use a roux. Alright, so here we are. We've completed our roux. And I just want to show you, here are the three different roux. You have your blonde or light roux, your medium, and then your dark, very nutty flavor. So there's a nice progression here. So, something new for you to try. Make a roux, and then on a later video we'll show you how to combine a roux with a liquid like a stock to make a nice sauce. Chef Neil, culinary chemist. Remember, what do I always say? Where art meets science in the kitchen.